The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Let's get it on a Wednesday night. It is time once again for Live Wire Wednesday. We are doing it live tonight, getting set for, of course, a big show, May 5th, Nashville, Gillette Stadium. It's AC/DC live in Nashville. I'm waiting for those ticket prices to come down a little bit, tone the bone, working on getting some tickets to be given away here on TKR and Tony Kurre Radio in conjunction with, of course, Live Wire Wednesday. April 10th, Minnesota. They're going to be in Dallas on the 14th, Pasadena the 18th, Vancouver coming up on April 22nd to finish up the month, April 26th in Las Vegas. Can you imagine seeing AC/DC in Las Vegas? Good Lord. Tonight we're celebrating something else, though. On this date, February 19th, 1980. You know that date, don't you? Bon Scott left us at the age of 33 years of old. I can remember being in school. I was 14 years of age. I was following the band. I was a huge fan of theirs. I was going to go see them at the Cincinnati Coliseum later on that summer. And, of course, I was just absolutely just awestruck and just absolutely hammered by grief to know that the lead singer of my favorite band had passed away at the age of 33, asphyxiation from alcohol. We'll talk about his life and just the incredible man he was, Bon Scott, tonight as we celebrate his life. 45 years ago tonight, taken away from us. We're going to do all Bon Scott, alive, dead, in the ground, rock and roll, and we'll kick it off one. The song's about him. Back in Black, a song that originally was not going to be on the Back in Black album because there was no Back in Black. The song was written for Bon Scott. We kick it off tonight, Live Wire Wednesday, brought to you by Southern Precision Staffing. They've been with us every single week we start this show. I love it. Kai Greger's entire crew do fantastic work. Construction, anything else you need when you're talking about any type of contract work, check out Spy for Rent. Great staffing company. Spy for Rent, 205-682-2828. 205-682-2828, where your word and your handshake still means something. They're right here in Hoover, Alabama, just like TKR is, but they serve the United States of America. Let's go Back in Black, celebrating the life of Bon Scott tonight on Tony Kurre Radio. Kicking it off here, celebrating, of course, what would have been, 45 years ago. So he'd be 78 years old. Bon Scott left us 45 years ago on this date back in 1980 doing some dirty deeds. A man who really got his start. You know, a lot of people thought that, Bon was a drummer. And a lot of people realize, including himself, didn't realize he could actually sing. He was in a band called the Spectors. I think he was then with a band called the Winstons. I remember he was with a band called the Valentines back in the 70s, another band called the Fraternity. And then we will spread this story wide and proud tonight because it's just an amazing story about how he actually left us. And we'll get into that coming up after our next couple songs here that we celebrate Bon Scott's life tonight. He would have been here 78 years of age, but he passed away and left us 45 years ago tonight. This was the first single that AC/DC ever released, and then we'll back it up with Damned. Live Wire Wednesday brought to you by Southern Precision Staffing for all your construction needs. Anything else in staffing, they're the best. 205-682-2828, 205-682-2828. Live Wire Wednesday on Tony Kurre Radio. So far as we celebrate Ronald Belford Scott, also known as Bon Scott, passed away on this date back February 19th, 1980 at the age of 33. It was alcohol poisoning or asphyxiation, depending on how you want to look at it. Bon was actually going to meet Malcolm and Angus for a night of drinking. And while he was on the way, obviously he passed out in a vehicle and found his demise. But it was funny because as he was going to meet them for a jam, and they knew each other already, Malcolm had actually written a couple of songs for some of Bon's bands. They were working on Have a Drink on Me for, of course, the next set. They were also going to be, and I keep thinking to myself, man, could you imagine Bon Scott singing Have a Drink on Me? How great that would have been. Oh my gosh. Could you imagine? I mean, just put Bon Scott. O'Brien knocked it out of the park. Don't get me wrong. And obviously we would have never had Back in Black because that song was written about Bon Scott. But could you imagine? Just go back and listen to Back in Black and imagine if Bon Scott is singing on that album, how crazy good that would have been. They were also working on Let Me Put My Love Into You, and also Put the Finger on You. They had three different songs they were actually going to talk to Bon Scott about that night. And of course, He never made it. We got a Hell in a Bad Place to Be, one of my favorite songs from Bon Scott. Then we're going to follow it up with a Ride On, a very important song in Bon Scott's life as we celebrate it tonight. He passed away 45 years ago tonight, right here on Live Wire Wednesday, brought to you by Southern Precision Staffing, right here in Hoover, Alabama, serving the United States of America. 205-682-2828, 205-682-2828. It's Live Wire Wednesday. Back in Black, Dirty Deeds, Can I Sit Next to You, Girl? That, of course, the first single, Damned, Hell in a Bad Place to Be, and Ride On. And by the way, Ride On was the last recorded song that Bon Scott ever sang for the band. He had a jam session about 2 or 3 nights before he passed away at the age of 33, February 19th, back in 1980. And that was the last song he sang, Ride On. Imagine, of all the songs, that could have been his last song jamming. It was probably one of the mellowest songs they've ever sang. Tonight, we're dedicating the entire show to Bon Scott. And of course, we're looking forward to the big shows, April 10th, 14th, 18th, 22nd, 26th. They're going to be coming to Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm going to be all over that bad boy on May 5th. Cannot wait to see AC/DC for the first time in about 7 or 8 years. Going to be fantastic. This one goes deep, about 6 feet deep. That you shake your foundations here on Live Wire Wednesday on Tony Curry Radio. If we're going to shake the foundations, we're going to go deep in the hole from Flick of the Switch. A couple there from Brian Johnson, of course, remembering the life of one Angus, one Malcolm. Well, remember the lives of the entire band members. Angus still with us, obviously, but Bon's going to be gone. Malcolm's now gone. And of course, one of those songs that was sung about Malcolm, Through the Mist of Time. We're going to have that song coming up here in just a few minutes. But tonight, we're remembering the life of one Bon Scott, along with Malcolm. Might as well. 45 years ago today, he passed away from asphyxiation of alcohol. We were just mentioning a few minutes ago, could you imagine what Back in Black, they were writing that album. A lot of people think that he passed away, they hired Brian, and of course they went in and wrote the album. No, they were actually writing songs for Back in Black with Bon Scott as the lead singer. And then obviously, could you imagine Have a Drink on Me, as good as that would have sounded with Bon Scott singing it? Would have been fantastic. Shot Down in Flames. He sang this one and did a really nice job. Then we'll back it up with Through the Mist of Time. Live Wire Wednesday brought to you by the greatest, the best staffing company in the world, SPS. Southern Precision Staffing, 205-682-2828, 205-682-2828. It's Live Wire Wednesday on Tony Curry Radio. A song there remembered for Malcolm Young from the Power Up set. And of course, they're calling this tour the Power Up Tour, despite the fact the album came out years ago. We're looking forward to that big show in Nashville. Continue to listen to Tony Curry Radio for your chance to win tickets. You can go to TonyCurryRadio.net, TonyCurryRadio.net. Go to our website. You can also go to the Ultimate Classic Rock page where we're giving you a chance to win tickets for all kinds of shows with AC/DC. And then, of course, that big show through Tony Curry Radio coming up on May 5th in Nashville. 3 more songs here as we celebrate the life of one Bon Scott, Reginald Belford Scott tonight. He'd be 78 years of age. You can imagine that? Do you think he'd be still singing 7? Do you think he'd be playing Nissan Stadium on May 5th if Reginald was still alive at 78? Would he have ever made it? Yeah, probably not. We got Cold Hearted Man from Powerage, Go Down, and this is one of my favorite songs. This is a Damon Johnson song, too. He loves this song from If You Want Blood, You Got It. Live Wire Wednesday brought to you by Southern Precision Staffing, 205-682-2828, 205-682-2828. Of course, you see Kai on our television show. We do that show every single week, Saturday mornings, 10:30, 11 o'clock. He does fantastic work on that, on the starting lineup. And of course, you can also check him out on K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. Kai Gregory's, we do a little gambling show. And unfortunately, he gambled a little too much with a bottle back on this date, back in 1980. We remember Bon Scott here on Tony Curry Radio.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.